You know, what if that deep urge we all feel sometimes, that need to just escape it all, to disconnect and find some peace and quiet? What if that was actually a spiritual trap? Today, we're going to dive into a philosophy that flips that whole idea on its head, arguing that the true path isn't withdrawal, but actually disciplined, active engagement with the world.
I mean, we all get it, right? That feeling of just wanting to retreat, to step away from all the responsibilities, the noise, the constant demands. It really feels like it could be a form of peace, maybe even a kind of spiritual detachment. But what if that urge to check out is actually something else entirely?
Well, in Jain philosophy, this state has a very specific name, pramada. Now, this is more than just being lazy on a Sunday afternoon. It's a deep-seated carelessness, an inner looseness. It's that who cares attitude that lets our discipline just slide. And as we're about to see, this philosophy considers that state to be way more dangerous than it looks. And this is where it gets really intense. The ancient Tattvartha Sutra makes this absolutely shocking claim. Carelessness is violence. Now get this. It doesn't say it leads to violence. The teaching is that the inner state of negligence, that pramada, is, in and of itself, a destructive act, a form of violence. Wow. So let's really dig into this idea. Why is this passive state of pramada, this kind of aloofness, considered the real enemy? Maybe even more of an enemy than all the frantic activity of our daily lives. This quote from Acharya Vidyasagarji just cuts right to the heart of it. You know, we often romanticize the idea of escaping our duties. We call it being spiritual or detached. But this teaching argues the complete opposite. Running away is an enlightenment. It's just carelessness, wearing a fancy costume. It's not true vairagya, which is a really disciplined form of detachment. It's just plain old pramada, which is really just neglect. Okay. So if running away isn't the answer, what happens when we just drift? This leads us to a really key danger, the trap of undisciplined loneliness. And here's the thing you've got to understand. For a person who's engaged in the world, being alone without any inner structure, well, that can be a fast track to inner chaos. The structures of family, society, and our duties, they aren't meant to be cages. Think of them more like mirrors. They provide the accountability we need to see ourselves clearly and stay on track. And this undisciplined, drifting state, it has some pretty specific consequences. An idle mind often falls into what's called sorrowful meditation, just dwelling on old problems or worrying about the future. It can also create a cover for doing the wrong thing when you think no one's looking. And, ironically, it can actually feed the ego, making you feel superior for having renounced the world, when really, you just ran away from it. So check out this side by side. It makes the distinction crystal clear. On one side, you've got mithya vairagya, that's false renunciation. It's all about escaping, hiding your passions, and feeding your ego. But on the other side, you have the Jain ideal for a householder, a participatory dharma. This is all about engaging with the world, demanding accountability from yourself, and using that structure for real spiritual growth. So if escaping is the wrong path, then what's the right one? Well, the answer might surprise you. It's not about quitting your job to go meditate on a mountaintop. It's actually about using your work, your profession, as a spiritual tool. Just look at this contrast. The idle mind is seen as a fertile ground for kashayas. These are basically the inner troublemakers. Anger, ego, deceit, greed. It just drifts. But the working mind, when you're engaged in an honest profession, it acts as a shield. It's anchored in the discipline of a daily routine, and that helps build an inner sense of order. As Acharya Tulsi put it so well, an idle mind is a house for passions. You know that old saying, an idle mind is the devil's workshop? This is kind of the Jain version, but it's even more personal. It's not some outside devil. It's a home for our own inner turmoil. So work, then, isn't just about earning a living. It's about keeping that inner house clean. So at the end of the day, an ethical job becomes this practical, daily application of Samyak Charitra, or right conduct, which is one of the 3 jewels of Jainism. Your professional life literally becomes a support system for your spiritual vows. It stops you from taking greedy shortcuts and keeps you from that idleness where pramada just loves to grow. Okay, but let's be real. An active life can be totally overwhelming. So how do you stay engaged without just getting consumed by it all? Well, this philosophy offers a really powerful tool for a daily reset. It's called Samayika,
And this is a non-negotiable daily practice. For exactly 48 minutes, you hit pause. You step back from all worldly activity to focus on equanimity. It's this dedicated time to review your own actions, reset your spiritual awareness, and consciously work on shedding any karmas you've picked up.
I absolutely love this analogy from Acharya Mahaprajna. Samayika is like a cleansing bath, not a permanent exile. Think about it. You don't live in the shower, right? You use it to get clean so you can go back out into the world feeling fresh and purified. It's meant to purify your engagement with the world, not replace it.
And that right there, that captures the core balance of this whole philosophy. It's not a choice between action and contemplation. It's about integrating both. You have a disciplined period of inner silence every single day, and that strengthens you for your continuous conscious responsibility in the outer world. So, how does this all come together in a way we can actually use? Let's break it down into a 5-step framework for a disciplined and truly engaged life. This framework is amazing because it's so holistic. It weaves discipline into every single part of life. So, step 1 starts with the self, waking up with awareness and, of course, performing that daily Samayika. From there, step 2 moves to your profession, which needs to be ethical and done with sincerity. Then, step 3 towards your family, where the discipline is to be present and compassionate. Step 4 extends out to society, calling for us to participate, not isolate. And finally, step 5 is the thread that runs through it all. Inner conduct, watching your own inner state during all this activity and ending every day with the self-review. It's a complete blueprint for an integrated life.
So if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this right here. The path isn't about checking out. It's actually about checking in with discipline. It's this dynamic balance, being active in your responsibilities, deeply aware of your inner state, and exercising restraint in everything you do. And the question that leaves us with is, what if the most spiritual thing any of us can do is not to escape our lives, but to engage with them more fully?